Just hit login. Just hit login. You don't have to fill out everything. Just hit login.
It says I have to come up with a password.
Okay, go in my office. Go in my office.
Okay, I'm going on Linda's computer, so I'll have to. Thanks, Rachel. I mean, initially I opened up and I went to the page where you sign in, but now that's coming up to do this.
Okay, go.
Come here.
When I hit login, it came.
Okay, good. Well, it came up for me too. Then when I went back in, it didn't want me.
Ron, you're up here.
Oh, Linda's got me. Oh, well, I'm going to stay at your computer. Here. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday edition Travel Tuesday on the Optimize Your Life Golden Rule Society podcast. We're so welcome and happy that you joined us today. It is February, I think, the 4th, and we're looking forward to moving forward in the month of the Valentines. Happy days are here. I'd like to welcome one of our partners, really. He not only is an officer, treasurer of the Hope Collection, he is a founder of a whole pioneer in developing travel that has expanded the world of being able to take advantage of opportunities for self-funding, income, career opportunities, and also provide ways for people to access the travel industry. Rick Reese and his wife Brenda are recognized as founders, directs, and are extremely successful both business-wise and financially. And I would say more importantly, their influence in touching lives and lifting people up has been extraordinary. And we're so privileged because we have access to him personally, and we have access to be able to work on an ongoing basis to make this a better world. Hello, Rick.
Hello, hello. Yes, I was on mute as I was speaking. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I'm going to try and turn Linda's microphone up here.
Well,
How's that?
fantastic. It's so good to be on the show. Travel Tuesdays makes you want to go on vacation.
Yes.
So, let me just ask the question, since it is Travel Tuesday. If you could go anywhere in the world, whether it be a destination or a cruise, or however means, train, automobile, whatever the case may be, horseback, where would you go?
Well, if you're asking me, I have this whole list of places that we are looking to go, and sometimes we've been places that we want to go back. What's exciting about that, Rick, is I have learned that's okay to dream and to kind of create in my mind. And well, we constantly and actively look at magazines that have picked. I love to watch the travel magazines. We subscribe to, being travel agents, we subscribe to resources of magazines that promote agents at home or travel leisure. These are places that explore and show the different destinations and explorations and adventures that we can take advantage of. And on top of that, we have access to Travel Agent University, where we can go and learn individually about destinations or methods to getting to that destination, or we can find out about the history of what's been and what's there and what's going to come ahead. Like 2 years ago, when we came back from a cruise, well, we were all excited about we were in Europe, and we had friends. And she wanted, and Mike's wife, Janet, wanted to go on a cruise, but she didn't want to go to Europe. Well, we have in America several cruise lines. American River Cruise is the one that comes to mind, and they have paddle wheels. and there's small ships where you're not into 4 or 5,000 people or 2,000. They have 200-person cruise ships, and they go places like how about Nashville to New Orleans, and they have a paddle wheel, historic paddle wheel that goes, and besides having a wonderful cabin, like a almost a condominium cabin on a ship, and food and every day, and they have balcony, and it was right. They go down to Mississippi, and they went from Nashville all the way down to New Orleans, and you just think of the food and the different areas and the place and the history that they got to take advantage of, and they didn't have to fly out of the country. And Janet, felt very safe, and they had a wonderful trip. The package is a really neat thing. Being a travel agent, when we took some little, they have a program where you can learn about them and through webinars, and then we get certified. What that means is we had advantage to be able to provide additional services and discounts for our customer. And so we were able to do that. This is how the package worked, Rick. They flew from they live in Buffalo, so they flew from Buffalo to Nashville. They went there a day early. The cruise put them up in the Sheraton Hotel right down the street from the dock. And so they were from the airport, that was taken care of, to the hotel. And they had an overnight stay, and they got tickets to go to Graceland, and they went to the original Elvis recording studio. Now, our friends are describe Rick, Mike, and Janet. They're from the 50s, and you can just picture them out there on the floor doing the twist and dancing the stroll and all that. That's just how they were. They are, and here they got a chance to go to Elvis's landmarks and recording studios, and they that was all included in the package. And so they got to go down. Then they went down the cruise, and they went to a mansion, a plantation home. They went to a historic site from the Civil War. They got down to New Orleans, and they had dinner, and they went to Louis Armstrong's bar and entertainment that night. I mean, this whole package, and they loved it. They loved the whole program. And so then they went. They also had a dream. The next year, they always wanted to go on. Mike wanted to sleep on a train. Now, there's all kinds of train trips today, but back then they were limited. Well, it was the Canada's sesquicentennial, and so there were a lot of celebrations going on. And so Mike and Janet booked the train from. They get on the train 20 minutes from our houses, Niagara Falls, and the train station for going out of Niagara Falls is right in Niagara Falls. So they went from that to Hamilton to Toronto. They switched trains, and underneath the train stations underneath the Royal York, without even going outside, they went and they had breakfast, and they got back on the train, new train, and they went to Montreal. When they got to Montreal, they got off that, and then they again the train station underneath the Hotel Queen Elizabeth, which is a sister to the Royal York, and they got off that and they switched lines, and then they went up to Nova Scotia. But in between that, there was an overnight sleep on the train. So then they got up there, and there were all the celebrations going on for the anniversary of historic Canada. Now, that was a special trip that really turned their entertainment and their desire to travel. We've done other trips with them and things and programs, and they just keep coming back. And it's just been fantastic that we've had an opportunity to provide them what they were looking for in their travel. We are, Rick, we're not like, I don't put big advertisements in newspaper. Or I'm online and things. But we are very selective with the trips that we do. We're not looking for a volume. Like I'm not. Remember the old days when you had AAA big in advertising all the time, and Liberty Travel. There were other companies that were spending all kinds of money on TV and radio and magazines. I don't want to do that. I don't need to do it all. But we're able to provide a group. We're in the travel industry, but we also found that we could expand our impact in the marketplace by expanding our program, Service 365, we're able to introduce other people to able to have the same power that we have. And because those travel agencies all gone away, Rick, when brick and mortar went away, then just think during COVID, people couldn't get out of the house. And for the most part, many people didn't choose or didn't travel. If you had a brick and mortar, you had overhead, staff, and covers. Most of them went out of business. So now it's all online. And what's really cool, the whole world has encouraged everything, do everything online, right? The fastest growth in the last 10 years has been online business. And it's so acceptable to do business this way. Most churches have you put you wanted to give you don't do an offering, you put it online. So you just decide to set up how much every week you want to send to your church. They do it automatically for you. You don't have to handle it. You don't have to worry about having it in your pocket when you get to church. There were concerns back then of handling money and being close with people, so they did away. You don't have an offering plate anymore, but churches still need money. So now they're looking for more ways of funding their church and their nonprofit. We got a whole program for that, Rick. It's incredible.
It really is. It really is. And I know one of the things that I was thinking about, and that's why I asked you the question, where would you go? Where would Linda want to go if she could go? You and her could go anywhere, and just drop everything. Money not a consideration, time not a consideration. Where would that be?
I
Where would you?
believe I can tell you right now, there's a place in Canada called Lake Louise. It's Calgary, and the lake is Banff, is the name of BAMPF. And you take a tree, I get there. I mean, there are planes to fly there, but the better way to go is go up to either Seattle or Vancouver and take the Mountaineer Railroad. And they got this rental cars where you can sit upstairs and they got observation decks. And as the train goes through the valleys, the mountains and the forests and the all the different animals, the moose and bear, when you're going through on train tracks, and you go from there, when you go on the way, they stop at the mountains, and you get off of a special tractor, and you walk on glaciers. We're talking about the glaciers that are like we're talking 20, 30 miles long and 5 miles wide. They're both historic. It's cold, so I'm not going to do it a lot, but go out there and you can actually be on a glacier. But Lake Louise in Banff, there's a famous resort there that overlooks the water, and there's pictures, and it's just incredible. And that is something that's been a dream of ours. I would say going back 25, 30 years.
Well, I would go. I was just thinking about it. This is me, not Brenda, because she would probably go somewhere, Monaco or something like that. the
Grand
French,
Prix.
the French Monaco. I was thinking about catching the migration of the wildebeest in Tanzania.
Oh,
We've all seen National Geographic, but
David Attenborough.
there's 1.5 million wildebeest that migrate every year, and they have the annual migration, and it's usually in May or June, and it's even recognized as seven wonders of the natural world. But we've all seen, the videos of National Geographic where they're crossing, I forget what river that is, where the alligators are waiting. You're echoing.
Someone's got to mute their phone.
Yeah, somebody's
Hi,
echoing.
Len.
But that's us as a controller, somebody controlling
Yeah, well,
that's
with Brian
echoing.
and Rick.
But yeah, that's what I would want to do in Tanzania. And of course, while in Tanzania, they've got Kilimanjaro.
Rick got that same thing.
as well as Zanzibar, being able to visit Zanzibar. But I've always wanted to do an African safari.
Oh, Rick, one of our partners is Global Travel, and Global has a program, Safari. You're gonna go on. You're talking about going on a safari, and what's really cool, you say Mount
Tell
Kilimanjaro.
Linda to mute her phone.
Linda, will you shut the phone off, please?
I'm talking to Len.
She needs to mute her line.
Go in the other room.
Here's Len. Here's Len. Len wants to join the call.
Okay, Len, you can listen and talk to us through your phone. So, okay, welcome, Len Kane. Captain Len want to join us today. Rick,
Hey, Captain Lynn Kane.
God bless you all. Nice to be here, and I'm a good listener. I had trouble getting on, but here I am, and I'd like to hear what all is going on. Please respond. God bless.
Len, I was just talking about Rick was sharing about wanting to go on a safari, and we have through Surge we have a partner, Global Travels, and they have safaris to Africa. And in their catalog, they picture you just get a picture of this. The like wheat, the grasses, the yellow grasses, because the sun drenches and changes everything after the spring. It goes in. And you got all the animals. And Rick was talking about the wildebeest and the Great Migration. But there's lions and there's giraffes and there's rhinoceroses, all these animals. But the Global has, and there's a video that you can take and listen to and see where when you go on their campsite for your safari, you're not sleeping on the ground in a pub tent. They literally have a whole frame where they set up, and it's like a box, a big wooden box, maybe like 20 by 20, and a big white tent. And picture, the mosquito nets and everything around it, and then they have beds that you're literally cot like beds that you sleep on. You're not on the ground. You don't have to worry about snakes. You don't have to worry about other animals or things like that because the tents are made so that you're secure and safe. But they line them up just like you remember the old Tarzan movies, and they had the tents there in a row. And you go on the safari. You got the Land Rover Jeep vehicles that you go from place to place. But picture the sunset and the quiet and the sun setting and the bright orange red sun, and you look behind it is Mount Kilimanjaro with the white top on it. It's one of the tallest mountain in Africa. And so you're there, and you're there with a group of other folks, and you're on this tour because you're not going to go to Africa by yourself and you can go in the wild woods. You want to go with an organization and a program and a company that does it, knows how to take care of all the safety things, and of course prepare your food and everything. And you're not going to get wild wings there probably because they're not buffalo. They're probably going to have some kind of meat that you're going to have out there that you'll enjoy in the menu, and you make that up. But it's a whole excursion and just picture, I always picture back the Tarzan movies, and there's such excitement and history that could be there, Rick. I mean, you do photo, you don't do guns, you do photo, and I know that's why you want to go, because you get there and with photo. I could just see you with a 12-foot long telescopic lens on your camera, and you take pictures of that lioness with her baby cubs. And of course, the big lion was roaring in. And then there's Rick laying in the grasses next to the big tree watching the lions.
I don't
And
know
it
about
just,
laying in the grass, but that sounds good. Lions waiting for a meal, and there's Rick with his 12-foot telescopic. But that's what I want to do. And this is about dreams. Ryan, you did a great job of describing that. This is about making your dream come true. We have listeners. Where would you like to go? You can type it in. At some point, we'll be able to allow call-ins. Once the company does whatever they do, that we'll be able to get people calling in. But you can text in or type in Where would you like to go for your dream trip? Because that's what we're talking about on Travel Tuesdays. We're talking about travel and fulfilling your dreams. Do you know how many people dream of traveling but never go? They watch TV, they look at magazines, but they never find the opportunity, time nor money, to actually take a trip. And I don't know if they think about it, if it makes them sad, um, but they settle in the fact that they cannot go for whatever reason. This is travel. You know, Ron, when you was describing the safari that Global puts together, and for us, even if we're out in the bush, living pretty, pretty good, even out in the bush with the mosquito nets and all that, and gourmet food, it's possible. We're in the business of helping dreams and creating dreams, and helping them to become true, because this is travel. And of course, in the business, we travel wholesale instead of retail. So we get the lowest rates. I didn't say discounted rates. We get the wholesale rates being in the business. I took my first cruise back in 2006, I believe it was, through the business. I always thought cruising was out of reach. You look at the Love Boat and all that, and it's, oh yeah, 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 for rich people.
How many
And
have you
so,
gone on now, Rick?
huh? Oh,
How many
36,
cruises have you gone on?
36, 36 cruises.
That's
And of course,
amazing.
we're platinum with Carnival, but we've been on most of the cruise lines, but we're platinum with Carnival. And I remember, one trip we left out. Bless
God
you.
bless you.
We left out of San Diego, and we were at the port. And you talk about the crowd that was out there. It was just bless you. The crowd that was out there was just, I mean, it was a huge crowd. But because we are platinum, we don't have to stand in line. And so they have a special entrance for us, and we walked right past this huge crowd of people, and we felt so special. And so when we got on the ship, we was able to board the ship before the crowd. So you can imagine, we're walking around, touring the ship, self-guided tour. Bless you.
Wow.
We're walking. You may want to mute your phone.
Well, see, we don't use the phone anymore.
I mean,
Um,
you may want to mute the computer. There's a mute on
yeah.
there. Make us feel sorry. It's like, oh my gosh, are they okay? Like
That's
sneeze right
Linda.
in the mic. That's like a sound effect, even though that was probably a real sneeze. But we're on the ship, and nobody is on the ship, and so we don't see a soul. And we're touring the ship and looking at, the different places, the different rooms, all the different things to see on the ship. And I'm telling you, we was on the ship for a good 45 minutes to an hour before they let everybody on. And so we're walking around this huge ship, and I was like, "Wow, this is our own ship." And then they let the people on, and it was like, oh, "Okay." But we felt so privileged. We felt so privileged getting on early before the massive crowd, being able to walk around the ship and not even see anyone, for a good 45 minutes to an hour. And of course, all the different privileges that come with being platinum on the cruise itself. But this is the travel business, and this is what we do, and we have been doing for a living. I mean, I let my corporate job go in 2005. And so Brenda, she had her own real estate brokerage and company firm, and she had stopped that before I even let my corporate job go. And so now you have two professionals who basically have redirected their skills to what we call a soft industry, travel. Soft but fun, fun and lucrative. And, and we've been, so somebody asked a question. And so we've been doing this full time in the travel industry since 2005 when I let my boss go. And I had a conversation with him. And he said, Rick, don't you care about your family? I'm saying, that's why I'm letting you go. Said, you're going to be okay, though. It's a cruel world out there, but you're gonna do fine. Back to you, Ron.
Well, it just really it just demonstrates the wonderful world. And when we started this program of Travel Tuesday, we had prayed about it. We want this to be something that will lift people up and open the eyes to people that really, when you're part of the travel industry, what you are is you're actually making this a better world. Every single person that decides that they're going to travel, what happens to them emotionally, mentally, socially, interacting with people? You have to plan it. There are things that you have to establish, dates. You have to put a clause, obviously got to place how you're going to pay for it, put that together. You have to have, in the case of travel today, much of it is you can do it yourself, but you still, if you want it or haven't, we have help, concierge service. So for people who are new or don't really understand, or they need help, and we have a program to do that. Well, what's really cool is that if you have more people doing this, you have less people having time to stand out and complain, stand out and picket and cause riots and just you're moving people from
From
uncreative.
problem to solution.
That's right. We're in the solution business. And I think it's pretty darn good. And I think for doing it, not only are we blessed, but how many more people around the world are we actually blessing? And that's our job.
That's our job. And the industry, when you're talking about the travel industry, $11.1 trillion, the largest industry on the planet, the number one employer on the planet, hospitality and tourism. We get the best of all worlds. And the beauty of Surge 365 is it gives us full access to the travel industry. So a new person can come in and say, what is my passion? Where do I belong? Where can I best fit? And so they have the tools, the travel agency, and access to all the travel training. And so if they want to be a New Orleans specialist, a Memphis specialist, an Elvis specialist, all this training is free and it's online. They can give tours if they want to be a tour guide. If they want to just travel, it's all free. The training is all free and it's online. And that's what really that makes me just go, wow. People are going back to college. Get this, people are going back to college, going into debt, spending tons of money. 4 years later, they've got a degree and they're looking for a job, and they realize there's people with that degree that are also looking for a job that have been out here much longer than they and couldn't find a job. When they come into Surge 365, and of course we don't knock college. I mean, I've got degrees. People have degrees. Uh, but you come into Surge 365, you take and you guys really were the example of a person coming into Surge 365 and taking advantage of the career opportunities. and Search 365 as travel advisors, travel agents. Because you guys came in, and I'm like, where did they go? They're over in Europe. What? Who told them? Who told them they could go?
We never asked, Rick. We never asked. You know what
I
is really
love I
neat,
love leadership. Go ahead.
Rick? It was a dream. Linda and I, we've been married a couple years, and but for many years before we'd ever met, Lynn and I had found out about a company called Viking River Cruises. Now they're real popular today. They sponsor PBS television shows. They run commercials. They're on commercials on the nightly news, and they'll always see the pictures of the long ships, the river cruises, and they're going all over Europe. And now they have cruise lines that do ocean, Caribbean, Mediterranean, Orient. And so you can go on land cruises and river cruising or ocean cruising. And their ships, they're small ships, and they're wonderful, and they're all inclusive, and they got tours that go on the river cruises. Well, you had opened that door to us. Well, we had already been exposed, but we didn't know how we were going to make that happen. When I promised Linda we're going to take her to Europe, and before we got married, I didn't know. I was working at a gas station bartending, and I had no way really to accomplish that dream. I made it. I gave her a commitment, anyways, and I am a man of my word. So on our 10th wedding anniversary, we went to England. We
Wow.
accomplished that goal the first time, and we've been back to Europe. So our whole goal today is to continue that process. And Surge is making it so much easier because obviously we get to buy wholesale, and that's not discount. See, everybody is used to, they've been sold out to thinking that if they go online and they go to Expedia or Travelocity or hotels.com, they're convinced they're going to get this super discounted price. It's not true. It is discounted. They get a little break, but it's operated under parity. There's a platform they operate in, all the customers, because there's only two companies, Travelocity and Expedia. They're the only two companies out that everybody else is subsidiaries or a division. So they control, they have parity pricing. And they do that so nobody gets hurt. They all make money. But that doesn't mean you get the best deal. See, what we have is the best deal. You cannot beat what we have in terms of availability. Well, as we've been doing this now, it's been a couple of years. But when we got started, that one of the things that they described to us that not only do we save when we buy travel, go on travel, but we also collect travel credits. What's that? Well, it's like frequent flyers on an airline card. I've got a Southwest airline card. Every time I book travel or I go on a Southwest Airlines, we collect extra. Oh, it's another way we get points. They can accumulate, and we can use that either to buy tickets or discount tickets and things like that. Now, we have it in the travel business we've had for several years, and on everything we purchase for ourselves, and everybody that we buy a discounted travel for them, we collect travel credits. And right now, that travel credits is up to a point where if we wanted to go on that African safari, we could go with you. We could go with you because we can pay for it with that. I don't have to
Nice.
go get a credit card. I don't. We got it's all be paid for, Rick. So we'd
Nice.
join you.
Wow. I was listening to a friend of mine who went, and I think he went to Kenya or one of the countries. And one of the traditions, they had this big vat full of grubs, fat,
Grubs.
fat, juicy grubs. And I guess the whole tradition was to eat one. They were alive. They weren't freeze dried. They were grubbing, and so, but it had to be at least maybe 2 to 3 inches long, right?
Oh,
And nice, fat, plump,
good protein. Good protein.
good protein. The
It's a
question
good
is,
one.
Would you eat it?
No.
No,
Okay, I should say it this way. Excuse me. Back up. Would you eat it under any circumstances?
Gun to my head, maybe. But
starving.
What was that show? What was that show that came out where they would do nasty things, eat
oh
things, and
gosh,
lit,
I know what you mean.
they were in
So
like roach infested, whatever, crawling over them. Would you do this or scared or something like that? I forget the name of the show. But so you final answer, you wouldn't eat a grub.
you know, sometimes it's funny when you think, different ethnic foods. It's like we live in Buffalo, very Polish. But there's a lot of Polish food that I wouldn't necessarily eat. But it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's not what I'm used to. And same thing with the grubs. If that it was, what if that is all you had to eat? And it's high in protein or whatever. I don't know. But again, it's not like it's poison. It's something that is just not, we're just not used to
Not
eating.
culturally something that
Yes,
we would on a day to day basis take
exactly.
advantage of.
Would you eat it with a fox? Would you eat it here or there?
Yeah. Well,
I would not eat it anywhere. No, I thought about it and I said, okay. My friend, he actually videotaped his wife. She ate it,
ah,
and he said, "Well, my wife ate it, so I can't. I have to do it also." And then he ate it, and
would it be different than eating a clam or an oyster?
yeah, I mean, some people would not eat an oyster. Some people would not eat a clam. Um, I like clam strips. I don't like the stomach. I try to
Right.
avoid the stomach, but some people just chomp it right down. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Cultural foods, and but that's travel. Would you try? Are you inclined to try different cultural foods, regardless of what it is? Like you go to Cambodia, I've seen some specials where they have like rats on a skewer
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
open fire, toasty roasty.
Mm-hmm.
I got to share with you a story, Rick. One time when we lived in Jamestown, New York, we were going to a church where we hosted a missionary from Philippines, and he was in to give a report on his work as a missionary in Philippines. So we're at the home of one of the members of the church, and Lynn and I were driving him when we became there. He had to go. There's a little town south of Jamestown that we were going to take him to visit this church while he was out from the Philippines visiting. So at this house, now he's sitting there and telling us about what people eat and what he had to get
Eating
used
fruit
to.
bats.
And they were, they cook up fruit bats like chicken on a chicken on the Barbie. It was spit,
That's right.
And
Spit
he's
on.
talking about it. Now we initially go, ooh, but then he's talking about it and you say, well, okay. You've heard that saying, it's like chicken. So he's talking about it. Now. A couple minutes later, the lady at the house we were at brought out a big blue farm bowl of macaroni and cheese. And it looked hideous. It is greasy cheese and flour. It was not mixed and blended. And it didn't even look appetizing. And he took one look at that and he goes, oh my goodness. He looked at his watch. He says, we got to get going. We might be late. We're going to have to leave now. So we never did drive the macaroni and cheese there. And we got in the car. The first thing he says to us, is there a McDonald's around here? You know,
Uh,
what an experience we had. But he's saying about eating the fruit bats, and at first we were going, ew, and then we're going, I think I could eat one over this.
Oh my gosh,
He'll
that's
eat fruit bats, but nobody could have eaten that macaroni and
Oh, it
cheese.
was gross. It
One,
was.
one, one, one other thing, you talk about Kenya. My aunt was in Kenya, and they had this big buffet, and she said, "Oh, chicken wings." And the guy looked at her. He says, "Oh no," I'm sorry, messed up it. She said, "Buffalo wings," and he looked at her like she was nuts and said, "No, they're chicken wings." We're so used to calling them buffalo wings.
oh,
But
that's only in Buffalo. Like
just call them
everybody else
wings.
calls them chicken wings.
Yes, yes.
You guys got because you got the original. But yeah, I went to a Nigerian wedding and they had like a long table feast of food. And so I got my plate and I'm going I'm going around. I'm like, okay, mashed potatoes, little beeflet thingsy. I don't know what it is. I'm just putting it on my plate. And at a buffet, a regular buffet, you got this big old plate, all kind of food. So I had a big old plate of all kind of food that I didn't know what it was. I just went by the looks. And so when I sat down, I was expecting a particular taste. Totally off. What looked like mashed potatoes, I don't know what it was. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't mashed potatoes. But I probably wouldn't have gotten as much as I got. The little beeflet things, I don't know what kind of meat it was.
Mystery
Didn't
meat.
taste like anything I knew. Everything on this big, huge plate. But
Ladies and gentlemen,
you got to eat it, otherwise you offend. And Brenda's laughing at me
if you're listening
with every bite. She's laughing, and I'm like,
to our
I,
senior
I
advisor,
can't offend.
Golden Rule
And so I
Society
ate it all. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll never do that
talk
again.
about travel.
I used to work at a supermarket company, and we would go to the grand openings. And Ron thought this one delicacy was onion rings, so he pops it in his mouth. It was fried calamari. And
Squid.
watching him trying to chew politely.
Oh my gosh, I did that. I did that. I
Funny
thought it was
stories,
onion rings.
Marilyn.
Did it?
Rick, can you hear me? This is
I
Len.
can hear you.
Go ahead, Len.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is rather exciting when talking about travel. Now, the three gentlemen and the ladies, they are all members of the Golden Rule Society charity, which we founded 52 years ago. And the nice part about it, it came from a little history that I had when I was in the Navy. I was a Navy fighter pilot, but I had a time of service as the navigator of the USS Enterprise. Oh, along with the USS Long Beach and the nuclear-powered Bainbridge. And we did a round-the-world cruise, 3 ships. And we visited 52 different countries.
Wow.
Now, we didn't stop and spend time in there, but we went by their countries. We put on air shows. They're flying out. They're just a little show off what we could do. And it was absolutely terrific. But this is how we got involved in the travel business. Because after I left the Navy, I formed this charity called the Golden Rule Society. And I hope that if you're listening, you have a piece of paper and a pencil. And I want you to write this down. It's the Golden Rule Society's website. And most everybody knows how it goes. Here it is, www.goldenrulesociety.org. The letters. Simply means we're a charitable, nonprofit, tax-exempt, nationwide, worldwide. But the part about the travel, if you have any interest in going on a travel, because of the wonderful work that Mr. Ron Clayton and Mr. Rick Reese and all the ladies and gentlemen and Mary's family we've got a whole bunch of people, all senior advisors. And by the way, we're all non-paid volunteers helping to make it a better world. Now, if you're interested in traveling anywhere, because when we did that show that I said to 52 countries and the 3 different ships, nuclear powered, the largest concentration of nuclear powered in the world, it was absolutely fantastic. And we're involved in that, helping other people to travel. So when you visit the Golden Rule Society's website, goldenrulesociety.org, you'll see all kinds of good things. Most everything on the site is free, except some things are better than free. And one of them is, the most popular, is the travel program, put together by the Hope Collection, which is now headed up by Mr. Ron Clayton. He's the president. And we're all there together to help make it a better world. That's the focus. We're here just to help make it a better world for everybody. So what you do, I'll give you an example. One of my friends had to go on a business trip from San Diego to New York, he and his wife. And they said, okay, well, we're going to go there. And this was years ago, and they said, well, we're going to go. And he asked the airline, they said, yeah, that'll be, just as an example, that'll be $1,000. He says, well, no, we're part of the Golden Rule Society charity. Let me see. No, it's only going to be $600. So on one trip, at that time, many years ago, they saved $400 on one trip on the travel. Now, things have changed, and most people are saving a lot more money just getting on the flights. So give it a go. Visit the goldenrulesociety.org. And one of the guys who's the hero on travel, and that's Mr. Rick Reese. And you can get yourself wherever you want to go, and you can get all sorts of discounts. And the nice part about it is the Golden Rule Society, we don't control how much of a discount or when they do it, but if they've got empty seats, you're going to get a discount. But because they don't want to be carrying empty seats across the country, they want to have somebody in there. So they make the decision, and that's their companies. They should. That's fine with us. But at least we're working there to help you and yours, and you can share this information with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your church, your charity, whoever you want, to go visit the website, goldenrulesociety.org. And you'll see all the wonderful opportunities and all the wonderful things that we have been doing collectively for all these many, many years. There's more than 52 years. We're getting close to another 5 months. We're going to be 53 years. Again, we're not selling anything. We're all non-paid volunteers, and we're here just busy doing the work of the Lord. We've got one of our programs is called the Kindness Campaign. And you just write this down or just remember it. With kindness and love and hope in your heart for peace in the world, treat others the way you want to be treated, truthfully with dignity and respect. And when you do that, you're sharing the love that your God gives you with others. And when you do it with a smile. And when you're traveling, that's the best way to do it. Just be courteous and kind and smile a lot, because kindness pays. It's always a success. So those are the opportunities to share with others and get on the airplanes and save money and enjoy yourself rather than paying the full price that everybody else is paying. But again and again, www.goldenrulesociety.org. And you're going to see all the wonderful things that Mr. Ron Clayton and Mr. Rick Reese and Miss Mary Stanley, and of course the husbands and the wives and the Golden Rule Society. Again and again, I stress this: we're not selling anything. And Rick and Ron mentioned the Southwest Airlines earlier in the conversation. It's a good airline. And go back a little bit. I spent 26 and a half years in the Navy as a fighter pilot. And when I finished with the Navy, I was offered a job with South Pacific Southwest Airlines. And the first thing they offered me said, Len, you're an instructor. We've got a dozen pilots that we have to train. So I spent almost a month or so teaching all these 12 pilots how to keep the sunny side up and how to be airline pilots. And when they finished, they went back to their hometown of Texas, and the organization created the name of their airline, and they call it Southwest Airlines. Isn't that interesting? They come to Pacific Southwest Airlines to get a training, and then go down to Texas, and they just simply drop Pacific. And we have a wonderful relationship, and they're still a great airline. But the point is, it doesn't matter. You can get discounts on the Southwest or any other airlines that offers it. So don't miss the opportunity, because travel is wonderful. You see people, you meet them, the courtesy and the kindness is overwhelming. And all you have to do is be a part of it. So I could go on and on, but I'm going to turn it back over to the boss man, Mr. Ron Clayton, and Mr. Rick Reese, and Miss Mary Stanley, and their husbands and the wives, and all the wonderful things. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for offering me, and Rick and Reese, and Ron. Hey, thank you for giving me the opportunity to add to all the wonderful words that you have given and sharing, because it's all good for laughter and joy. Life is supposed to be fun. And the secret is, when I joined the Navy, I was going off. As I was leaving, my mother said to me, Len, remember this, wherever you go, whatever you do, whoever you meet, be kind. Great words that are still in my heart and soul and my mind. So take it, and let me turn it back over to you, Ron Clayton, Mr. Rick Reese.
Well, thank you,
Mary
Len.
Stanley, and anybody else. God bless you. Over to you. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Len. Thanks for being on with us today. I'd like to remind everybody that on May 5th, a group of folks that are part of not just the organization, but our friends are part of the Hope Collection and Golden Rule Society. We're going to be on a ship called the Freedom, and the port is Cape Canaveral. And on May 5th, we're leaving Port Canaveral for Turks and Caicos in the Bahamas, and we're going on a cruise for a week. And Carnival Cruise is going to honor Captain Len Kane for his years of service and his leadership and his kindness campaign. And so there's still opportunity. If somebody wanted and could, we can get them on the ship with a cruise to go. It's a week, Monday to Friday, and it's a reasonable price program, but it's food, entertainment, everything's included, plus the sun and the wonderful trip together and our fellowship we're going to have on board. So if you still would like to come or you'd like to find it out, give us a call. Ron and Linda Clayton, we're at 716-908-2300. Give us a holler, and we'll look forward to maybe you can join us. And so there's great things going on. Well, I've been so excited for over 10 years. The Hope Collection has been reaching out to touch lives and help provide programs. We have one financial program that we can help anybody to reduce their cost of credit through whatever they're paying for the expensive high interest rates and fees that they may be paying on loans. And we can reduce your monthly expense going out the door, and you still are going to pay the bill, the loan off, but the interest rates can save you through the Cambridge Financial Company. We can lower your overhead costs and give you more money to spend during the month. We got a super inflation beater, and it's secure, it's honorable, and we endorse it. And we're actually exclusively connected with Cambridge for this, known as the Hope Collection Cambridge program. So if you'd like to know more about it, give us a holler.
Also, I was just going to say before we close here, on the goldenrulesociety.org that Lynn Kane was just sharing with us. Excellent job, Captain Kane. There's also a link called Captain's
I
Travel
wonder.
Tip, and it's a 39-page document that Lynn put together that has a ton of travel information and tips in it. And valued at $33, but it's free, as everything in the Golden Rule Society is free. But it's called Captain's Travel Tips. So if you go to goldenrulesociety.org, click on Captain's Travel Tips, and I'm sure that's from 30, 40, 50 years of experience. Lynn was for 25 years, an airline pilot, and of course, fighter pilot as well. But he put together this document with all of his tips that not only saves you extra money, but shows you how to keep you and your family safe while traveling. So thanks, Lynn Kane, once again. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks, Len. Or thanks you, Rick. Again, we hope today's show has given you some ideas, either spurring some ideas for some new thoughts in travel, or if you are sincerely, you may know somebody, or you may be looking for a new career, or the new term around going around in general conversations today, especially young people. They're going, I'm looking for a good side hustle. What that's the new term. I don't necessarily use it, but that's terminology kids talk about.
Right,
We'll
right,
talk
right.
to and we have one that's incredible. It's really I know for a fact that if somebody needed to earn $500 to pay a rent or a car payment, I know I can specifically and honestly say to you and look you in the eye and say, I can help you do that in the next 30 days, and we actually experienced that. So if we've done it for others, we can help you do that too or more. Our church is going to take advantage of our funding by travel program to use it to help. We have a food bank that costs a lot of money. We actually serve 800 families a week, and to do that takes a lot of money to pay for that. Well, guess what, folks? We are we are actually um, providing that system, our church is going to take advantage of it, and they'll be using it so that every time they save somebody money in travel, which our program Vortex does, the church will get paid that whatever they save, the church is going to get matched 100%. It's a very solid, very easily operated program, and we're going to launch it at Res Life.
Nice.
So I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Tomorrow, Linda will be hosting the show with Beth Wine, and she's a certified dietitian and certified nutritionist. And she actually is certified. She runs certifications for schools for the cafeterias and the food that they're serving. She actually does inspections for the state of New York, and she lives over on the east near Albany, and so she goes and visits schools to make sure that everything, the food that your kids are getting, is proper and nutritious. And she
And delicious.
show and helps people on their own individual recommendations and things. And she's wonderful to talk to. That's at noon tomorrow.
Thanks for the kingdom builder and warriors who were on the show today, and others who have joined us, and others who will be listening to this podcast.
And that's oh, but
Well, Ron, I think we are at the end of our show.
We are. Thanks so much, Rick. Thanks everybody for being on board.
God bless everybody.
Bye now.